Good morning. My name is Michael Ennis, and I am the EMS Fire Program Coordinator here at Stanley Community College. However, that is not where I thought I would be, or what I would be doing when I was a child. My childhood dream was to be a firefighter, so I'm somewhere close. So what I want to do is take a little bit of time to introduce myself, tell you a little bit about me, how I got to where I became now, and then what my future plans and goals are. Right. So, like everybody else in here, I was born 45 years ago in a small town just north of here. Grew up in a middle-class family. My dad was a self-employed mechanic, and my mom was a baker and cake decorator. So we had a kind of a blend there of what we had in our family. Grew up, went to high school, normal school just like everybody else, and graduated from high school, and that same year decided to get married. So I married young, very young. From there, I did go into my dream job. I became a fireman. I worked for the City of Salisbury Fire Department, and started when I was 19 years old. So very young into the fire service. A year after that, I had my first child, or my only child, my son. It really started a true family. Stayed in the fire service a while, ended up running into some financial problems like we all do, and had to leave the fire service. But in that process, I did become an EMT. So I did some medical training, got that training under my belt, wanted to continue to move forward and do more with my life. So I did EMT for a while. I did volunteer service, rescue squads, fire departments, and continued to work in a production job, which I just hated, to be honest. Luckily, I was able to go back to school in about 1996, and I became an intermediate EMT, and then went to paramedic school. So I got my EMT paramedic. From there, on a wild mission, had never really been to Stanley County other than a drive-through to go to the beach. Come down here and I applied for a job. And 2 days later, I got a phone call and offered a full-time position. So I started working as a paramedic. Worked here for about 3 months for the county, and had a college instructor stop by and asked me if I ever thought about teaching. And I said, well, I've dabbled in it some up in Rowan County, but never thought about it as any type of job. And he said, well, I need you to teach an EMT class. Can you start next week? And I said, sure, why not? So I started teaching for the college. It's been almost 18 years. I started, so 17, 18 years. So I started teaching for the college, continued to work in EMS. Now along the way, ended up with a divorce. It happens. But about 2 years later, I met my next wife. We ended up getting married, and I fulfilled another goal that I'd always had, was to have a daughter. And I inherited 2. So that was great. I ended up with 2 kids. Continued to work, finally decided to go back to school in my 40s and obtain my associate degree, and I'm currently working on my bachelor's degree in disaster management in Western Carolina. So the kind of as a real quick of who I am and where I got to be where I'm at. So one thing I like to say is I do have a object I'm going to show you. This is a cigar, and this is my kind of my inspiration object for what I want to talk about in my little introduction here, and the fact that cigars are made with different types of tobacco. This one is actually made with tobacco from Nicaragua and Ecuador. So they take these tobaccos, they lay them together, they roll them, and they blend that flavor together. So that was kind of my inspiration, with being blended, very well blended. That said, I come from a divorced family. My mother and father divorced, and this is just brothers people. My mother and father divorced, and actually married a couple that we were friends with, that were married to each other before. Okay? So my stepmother and my stepfather were married to each other prior to be married to my mother and father. Okay? So it was kind of like swap parents, inherit stepbrothers and stepsisters. Everything worked out great. Okay? Neither one was the reason for the divorce. They all stayed friends. Very blended family. Okay? Within that, I got a stepbrother. He is married to a full-blooded Japanese. So we've got another blend that comes in. Okay? A lot of culture. Okay? Through my divorce, and neither party was the cause for it, on either side, I remarried. I'm good friends with my wife's ex-husband. My wife is friends with my ex-wife. So we're a very big, huge blended family. So that's where my blend comes in. All right. Kind of in conclusion, wrap this up. Where do I want to go from here? Love being here teaching. That is my goal, is to remain instructing. I still work as a paramedic part-time, but I want to continue my career here. Finish up with my bachelor's program, begin master's school, and do master's in health science with a concentration in education. So that is where I want to go from here. I appreciate you listening. Thank you.